Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book roundup. We've covered this week's Marvel books, and now it's time to move on to the distinguished competition. Kicking things off, we've got Batman vs. Robin, number 2. Where we left off, it seemed that Robin, Damian Wayne, had come in under the influence of the devil Neja. Also, seemingly, Alfred Pennyworth, who had been killed in real time a few years ago during the City of Bane story arc, had also returned and was helping Batman try to figure out just what's going on with Damian. So over the course of the issue, Jinx of the Fearsome Five and as well as Tanarak, steal a gem from Atlantis, while Zor and Clarion the Witch Boy have taken Ragman's soul suit from Ragman, all for the Devil Neja, who is trying to get Black Alice to basically muck with all the various artifacts that they've collected so far. As Batman and Alfred were sent to Kentucky by Zatanna, they arrive and find Felix Faust revisiting an old spell he cast once upon a time against the Justice League, only it's going out of control, and Batman is able to subdue him with a sleeper hold when a house suddenly erupts from the ground, and they are greeted by a man identifying himself as Abel. Alfred and Batman explore the house after Abel vanishes. They see a vision of one of the fights that Damian was involved in on Lazarus Island against apparently a Lazarus demon, who Damian and his fellow fighters killed, much to the dismay of Mother Soul. Alfred and Batman then find themselves on Lazarus Island, where they're suddenly attacked by miniature versions of the Lazarus demon. They step through a door where they're greeted this time by Abel, his hands covered in blood. But Alfred and Batman step through another door and find themselves in a theater where an usher ushers them to their seats. We find Mother Soul. We learn the origin of the Lazarus pits. As Mother Soul knows the origin of the Lazarus resin. It was refined from a Chinese elixir of resurrection and immortality millennia ago from the blood and tears of a grieving father. Elixir bestowed upon his son so that it might run through his veins for eternity. That demon lives and is perhaps even more capable of serving Mother Soul's needs. And apparently, years ago, Mother Soul saw the demon in prison beneath her very feet. That does kind of kind of, raise a flag for Batman. But soon the theater seems to fill with Lazarus present, and Batman and Alfred manage to escape, where they run into Cynthia as well as Mildred and Mordred. But clock chimes, and very suddenly Cynthia turns into Talia. But once again, Batman and Alfred see another flashback. A key which which Mother Soul had made and insisted it be placed on the island so that Damien might find it. Well, Damien did, and he's following it. And he unlocks a door that has no handle, freeing the devil Nezha. Batman and Alfred are then attacked by the vision of Damien, who imparts, or who sets the House of Secrets on fire. Once that is done, Mother's Soul gives him a gift: the bat suit that Damien wears in the Batman 666 future. He asks if it comes with accessories, and Mother Soul says, "What is a Batman without Robins?" Turns out that the other Robins are under Nezha's spell. As the House of Secrets burns, Batman begins working on a plan, and Alfred he's there to be at Batman's side. Only his shadow appears to not be Alfred's, but rather the devil Nezha's. And that is where the issue ends. This miniseries is definitely off to an interesting start. We've already learned that there's going to be, that spinning out of the miniseries will be a arc next year called Lazarus Planet. So, anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Batgirls number 11. Where we left off, the Batgirls' neighbor, who Stephanie mistakenly thought was the Hill Ripper, was found dead with a fake eye in his eye socket and a note, well, I won't even say a riddle, behind the fake eye. So we get a vigil for the victims. Presumably the mayor calls up the commissioner. It's not good optics. But one of the detectives overhears and says maybe we should ask for help, though Montoya is against it. But he goes up to the roof and uses the bat signal, and Batgirl arrives and is given a thumb drive of all the evidence, and the officer in question, Officer Brooks, has left a burner phone to get in touch if need be. Actually, it appears it wasn't actually Barbara, but rather may have been Grace Halloran that answered the call. She does her broadcast. The next day, Cass and Steph go to the park, and Steph's new friend Kyle, who's kind of sort of invited along, has come along with his sister Mia, aka Maps. Cass and Mia go off together, while Steph and Kyle do so as well. Mia has come up with the perfect way to get to the bat enclosure, and asks a question: how close does Cass want to get to the bats? To which Cass says, "How close can you get us?" Well, they get to the bat enclosure, but something appears to be hanging from the ceiling, or rather, someone. Killer Moth. Cass frees Killer Moth and leaves Fido 5 on his jetpack, and Cass and Mia become friends, and well, yeah, she's quite happy about how this has gone. But Cass is also sworn to secrecy. But it's decided that Fido has a tracking device, which, so rather than continuing to solve riddles from the Riddler, well, the Batgirls go after him. They go into a house and can kind of break in, and the owner is, it turns out, dead in the attic, and it looks like the next victim is supposed to be Grace. Oh, no, yes. Okay. When the Riddler shows up, apparently he claims to have shot Killer Moth, but he offers him a choice: save Grace O'Halloran or fight the Riddler. The Batgirls decide to do both. And before the fight begins, though, the Riddler poses a riddle to them. Why were the Batgirls buried in Gotham Cemetery? Because they were dead. That is where the issue ends. I am digging this book, and it's nice seeing them go up against more of the traditional Bat Rogues. So, moving on to our next book, we've got Batman Incorporated #1. Now, a while back, I want to say it was earlier this year, there was I think it was a story in, it was a Ghostmaker story in, there's either a backup story or it was one of the stories in Urban Legends, which kind of set up Ghostmaker taking over Batman Incorporated. And the end of the story stated that later in the year there will be a new Batman Incorporated series. So what's happening is the various people who trained both Ghostmaker and Batman are being tracked down and killed, generally using their own specialties. So the members of Batman Incorporated are on the case. While also going after the various LexCorp labs, which someone seems to keep beating them to said labs. So, but turns out that with multiple trainers of Batman and Ghostmaker being killed, the ones who aren't yet dead think it's Ghostmaker coming for each of them. And a subplot is that El Gaucho is wanting to take over as thinks he should be in charge of Batman Incorporated. So we'll see. We'll just have to see how the course that runs. Also, one neat thing is that this does, to a point, solidify Batman the Knight, which I think was being written by Chip Zdarsky, as being canon, like official, primary canon. Not well, it works, but no, we get at least one of the teachers that the two of them encountered in the night. Avery, who helped them learn the art of disguise. So far, we're off to an interesting start. Um, I didn't read the previous Batman Incorporated title. I don't, I don't know why. Aside from the fact I wasn't really, I was. It was a point when I couldn't afford to buy comics. So, but the idea is interesting to me, especially after the Grant Morrison Club of Heroes story from Morrison's run on Batman. And more than 10 years ago. Moving on to our next book, we've got Batman Urban Legends number 20. So the only story that's being continued here is the Pennyworth Files, Chapter 2. So we start off with Castle Arkham, which feels like an interesting a dark medieval fantasy, or actually not medieval, a dark fantasy reality, where instead of Gotham you have Arkham, but something has gone awry in Arkham, and so there are monsters that are loose, and the Order of the Bat and its infamous warrior, the Batman, deal with these monsters. Also working with the Order of the Bat is a scienceman named Kirkland Langstrom. But at a crime scene with the Order of the Bat, there's an image painted on the wall, which Batman makes a point of taking a picture of. Bruce Wayne, however, appears at a social function at Chateau Falcone. Falcone's wanting to solidify the alliance between the Wayne family and the Falcone family. But we get some additional background. Martha Wayne didn't want her son Bruce to become the Batman after his father, Thomas. And so one night, her and the family butler, Alfred, attempted to abscond with the child, but were killed in the woods on their way to escape, though Bruce was spared. Before Martha was buried, Thomas took his own life. But Langstrom has been delving a bit too deeply into the various secrets of the Order, and he's ripped the heart out of the giant bat monster in the cave, as well as and combines it with a liquid he found at the crime scene, and it turns him into a giant man-bat creature, which Batman ends up killing, causing the gas that the fumes of the liquid spread. And it turns out that the monsters of Arkham are seeking another world, a world called Gotham, ruled by an elder god known as the Laughing One. That is where the story ends, perhaps. So, then we got the Pennyworth Files. Alfred's on the trail of apparently a cult dedicated to the ancient god Dagon, including finding a spyglass which has some slots in it. Now, the fishmongers that have been going after all this, big thing they've been going on after are jade earrings, which appear to have be made of fish scale. So the whole thing is that they put the earrings into the slots on the spyglass. It's a projector, actually, and show a map. But a member of a cult worshipping Dagon has infiltrated the the fishmongers, and rest of them attack. The fight breaks out, but Dagon's skull is reunited with his body, and the cult members have a bit of a they have a bit of a scare, and Alfred posits that makes a point of telling the police that the big hero of the whole thing was about the museum security guard. And back at Wayne Manor, Bruce tried to make Alfred some tea, and it's apparently the worst cup of tea that Bruce has ever had. Then we've got Batman and Talia in the story My Son. Damien's been injured, and rather severely. Talia shows up demanding to take her son back, as he is safe with Bruce. They argue about it. They fight. Nightwing manages to break the fight up. Apparently, Damien was with Nightwing when he was injured, and but Bruce softens, and Talia manages to soften, and Alfred takes her to see Damien, and Bruce and Alfred, or Bruce and Talia, at least try to be better for Damien, if nothing else. Now, our final story is the first part of a story called The Murder Club. Someone's killing the super rich in Gotham, and Batman is early in Batman's career, but Batman's heard rumblings of a murder club that exists among Gotham's elite. So he investigates. He finds a high roller card for the Iceberg Lounge, and goes and talks to Penguin about the whole thing. But the Penguin does make a point of saying, "Hey, it's bad business if I'm killing my high rollers." So, which Batman admits is very true. However, someone showed up injured at Leslie Tompkins, and while Bruce is going to a social function, a childhood friend the parents of a childhood friend who was recently murdered, are apparently starting a shelter in her honor. Though Bruce notices that his friend's mother has apparently some injured hands. But Leslie Tompkins calls Alfred, and Alfred then calls Batman, or Bruce. Bruce returns to Wayne Manor, and Alfred simply says, "Yeah, the end of the hall." Batman walks to the door and finds his parents, and that is where the story, or the issue, ends. Murder Club is part 1 of 4, so got 3 more months of that for that. Now, next up, we've got Future State Gotham number 18, the final issue of the series. Where we left off, the ghost of Joe Chill had possessed Damien's body. And it was working with Hush. They were fighting the entirety of the Bat Squad, and had also raised an army of zombie Talons. But Dick manages to show up, fights Damien, and manages to get convince the ghost of Joe Chill to leave Damien's body and go for his. He's able to use the brain apparatus to get away and seemingly, then his flight suit explodes. The series then reverts to color, and Peacekeeper Red arrests Hush. Bruce and Talia forgive Damien for everything. Bruce is staying more in the background of the future Bat Squad. Uh, Jace has a new suit, and Jace and Peacekeeper Red are planning to take down the Magistrate for good, and that is where the series ends. I enjoyed this book, and I'm a little sad to see it end. But it's kind of all good things, you know. And at least it gets to tell, you know, yeah, it ends on a, you know, on the note of Bruce and or not Bruce, but Jason and Jace leaping into battle or leaping off of a roof together. So, but yeah, the story is over, but it leaves itself open enough for more tales to be told. And moving on to our final book for the week, we've got Dark Crisis: World Without a Justice League, Green Arrow. So this is actually, honestly, this has probably been the best of the World Without, or at least my favorite so far of the World Without a Justice League one shots. Each one's, it kind of took a few months of Dark Crisis to kind of truly figure out what they were doing. Each show the Earths that the Justice League members who were killed during Justice League 75, where they ended up. So, first off, we've got Green Arrow. On his Earth, he's basically Robin Hood. Merlin is the Sheriff of Nottingham. But Oliver chases Merlin into the woods. Comes upon a canary. She follows and walks out of the forest into a city, where he ends up meeting and fighting a blonde-haired woman named Dinah. But something rises from a rift in the ground. It's a younger version of Ollie, who insisted Ollie should never have left the island. Ollie and Dinah fight off young Ollie, but he's seemingly destroyed. That's for the first. And it turns out the story has also been narrated by an older Ollie. Then it turns out that while everyone else has been on Earth of all their own, well, with Black Canary and Green Arrow, yeah, they're all he said, he'll follow her anywhere. So rather than make separate Earths for each of them, they each one has an Earth. The attempts were made to make separate Earths, but what would always happen is Ollie would have dreams of Dinah and try and chase those dreams. So before, initially though, on Earth Black Canary, Dinah was having visions of a doomsday scenario, whereas on Earth Green Arrow was having dreams of Dinah. But he made a multiversal rocket, and tried to, in an attempt and he managed to get to Earth Black Canary, but apparently that wasn't the first time. So it was decided Pariah decided to basically make them a cage out of true love. And that is where the issue ends. Like I said, this has probably been my favorite of the World Without a Justice League one-shots. And it's also the one that feels, even though each one has been showing the Earth that the League was trapped on during Dark Crisis, this is the first one that truly feels like it's actually at least tangentially a bit closer related to the overall story. But anyway, that is going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal account can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.